Hey guys, Grant here with Soul Shining Path. Shining Soul Path, play everywhere. Because there's a way to play it every single way, day and day, and we're gonna find it, enjoy it, and share it, I say. So, if this is finding you, especially if it's your first time seeing me, trust that it is meant to deliver something to you for a reason. It's meant to be in the way that the motion happens, that the experience of life happens. It's basically a quantum effect on the texturization of yourself. So take it as a sign that the grit that you've been putting into life is just the right amount of texture, just the right amount of feeling to go ahead and provide you to the next step, to the next piece that you can naturally leap into that is directly aligned with your life. Now, a big part of this is at the moment, and if anything I say does resonate, please like and subscribe and follow along for more, because I know that there's so much more that we're building, that we're all in here together. That's where it's a lot more than this just being a, hey, you're doing a good job. It's more like a certain degree of alignment to you're doing the job that was always meant to be done through you as a result of you being here in this moment. Whew, bit of a wordy one to start. Anywho, there's been something that you've been looking to reclaim, to reconnect with within yourself, to start doing a gift that was basically given to you universally through just your journey, your experience. And it's one of those things that's very, very, very easy to take for granted, because for you it was just a natural 1, 2, 3, this is what I do, this is just me. And it's being asked that you kind of recognize and value that whole experience and expansion, and see the space that it is currently having been removed for you as the opportunity to come back to it. And you know, as with what we always say and realize, guys, is that it's about coming back to your inner child, to that part of you that kind of knew the way before the way was even something to comprehend or conceive of. So the easiest way to do that, guys, is to kind of just take a moment to spend some time with your inner child. So we've got the angel cards for children at the moment, just to kind of bring some of that energy in. And the one that actually comes up is to choose a card. So it's asking you and reminding you, we'll get to a proper one, but it's about creating a space for your consciousness to fish for that next moment, for the opportunity to zoom in on whatever is experiencing for you and being experienced by you as the opportunity of the higher mind awakening through you. Because you see, that's kind of how it is that we're looking to work with life, is seeing that there is this experience that we're having, that we're waking up to, due to largely the fact that there is a lag in our brain, but the fact that that moment itself is healing, not for the state of, I always need to heal, I need to be better, but for the health that is present for you in each moment, and all of those dimensions of on-topness to be able to come down and land. So remember, when you feel unwell, ask the angels of healing to help you. So recognizing that whatever is there that you may need to be able to put up as a reminder, is always there, and it's always wanting to help you. It's just now about making sure to claim it, to really show up for that, and as someone deserving of that, because you are so wholly deserving of that which you so quickly and easily give to other people. And in that way, it's when you ask for that healing, know that it is given, know that it is done, it is complete, it is already been paved the way forward for you to be able to go ahead and effortlessly move forward in your life in this moment. And this is very much also about reclaiming that relationship with yourself, with the opportunity to know what it is that you require. And that starts with a certain level of true self-esteem, of knowing that you deserve to exist, knowing that you deserve to take up space, to be heard, to experience and express yourself. And for many of you, this is just a small reminder, ever so slightly, because you've been doing the field work already, to go ahead and say, cool, I'm here, I take up space. If people have a problem with that, that's their problem. If there is something I can do to make it easier for them, that's within my boundaries and the way that I want to live in the world, of course I'm happy to do it. But trying to make them feel comfortable and happy at the expense of myself and where it is that I authentically feel to be isn't necessary, and it's an outdated, finished role that we're now done with. And that's kind of like a new sort of lens to start looking through. And you can kind of see it as this lens of a new and improved self that it is that you've been bringing in, and you've been looking to go ahead and make the space for, and the opportunities for those geometries themselves to align. And I use the word geometries because it is very much about creating the relationship on who it is that you are and what it is that you're doing. And this comes by taking up the space that you require, and how it is that you then start continuing to move and learn to move like that, because it's a dance. You know, all we're doing here is starting to learn to dance to the natural beat that life is happening and causing. So we're starting to kind of pick up the new moves, and as when we're learning anything, for the most part, there's going to be a certain degree of challenge, even if we're really good at it, even if we're naturals at it, which is great. But that just means that you have so much further that you can go with that, and how you can ultimately apply that to what it is that you love to do. And I know that most of you guys have started to focus on what it is that you love to do, and I'm really, really proud of you, like just so incredibly grateful for it, because it makes, I mean, just something I want to share with that is that when you focus on what you love to do, it makes it that much easier for everyone else to do it as well, because there's just this energy, this line, this groove of focusing on what your path is and your illuminated perspective with it is. And that's why it's soul shining path. Because once your soul starts shining, the illuminations of the shadows that we have and like the actual light that they birth, especially by being willing to go into those places, go into those experiences of challenge, of difficulty in our own way, with our own self, with our own reward system, we're starting to map out a higher path for everyone to be able to find their ways on it. And that's why I say play every way. All the ways that call to you, find a way to play with it, because play is ultimately the highest form of experimentation. And I know that you guys are like itching for more, itching to experience, not out of dissatisfaction or lack, but out of appetite, out of pure hunger for what it is that this world offers to you and what it is that you can offer back. Because that's the relationship that's currently happening here, is that you're learning how to see the reflection of what it is that's occurring as an internal dialogue within your own being. And once you start to continue that practice, you know, kind of allowing it like, oh, okay, this is currently where I'm at. This is what my stance is telling me. This is what the current reflections of the friends are telling me. Not as a judgment of the external, but an awareness of the internal. You start to create this telescopic view. This view to recognize some of the higher order patterns that are occurring in life and realizing, oh, I'm along for the ride. And I am a part of that ride in turn. So the free will I have is in order to recognize the equation that's already happening, allow that which is greater than I, and in turn becoming that through the humbleness of existence, to in turn show you where it is that the free will that you have is best applied to go ahead and work on the taming power of the small. Some of you, it might be very interesting to either look into the I Ching again or come back to it if you have looked into it in the past. Because I know with things like that, it can sometimes be a bit big the first time. So for those of you that are fine and feeling like, oh, okay, I like the idea of it, but I'm not really sure where it is that we're heading, and like, flip, I don't know about that. Don't worry guys, we'll all be in there. I'm constantly finding myself there. Gene Keys. Gene Keys is a really nice one that utilizes many different orbs of knowledge, and I'll make sure to put a link for the basic place to generate a profile if you've ever looked into a human design or astrology profile. And even if you haven't, check it out. They do a really nice little generation of a chart where it gives you a nice little like word process system, which is great. Highly, highly recommend. Now for those of you that are finding like, okay, why is he moving like this? So it's a case of like this motion itself is a certain degree of a light language elemental connection. You know, say it's like an expressive dance. You know, there's the words that are going on, and then the motion itself, and even the words to a degree themselves, are frequency connecting elements that connect our morphogenetic fields as a means of allowing the transmission of energetic pulse that we're both aligned on and moving towards. So in short, even if it just sounds weird, if there's something calling you to be here, to hear this, to see this, to be a part of this, know that you are a part of this. Your very piece of self is a very degree of the art that is required in order to go ahead and allow the whole thing to occur. And it's that connection, that feeling, that's what we're wanting to dial in on, but not just wanting to, choosing to, living to. And that's oftentimes the feeling of the small, the big, and just what is, just the reflection, that very isness. And in that regard, it's very much about doing a certain degree of slowing down, to remember that the magnetic and dielectric poles of self work together. They are simultaneously occurring through both mediums as a manner of allowing things to exist. And it's just about learning how to be like, okay, cool. We're here and now. This moment is complete. It's holographic, so to speak. And I'll make sure to speak more on holism and holographics and things like that. It is still something I need to personally look into because there is so much. But for those of you that are tickled pink with it, holofractal is a great or very interesting forum on Reddit. I'll link that as well. I mean, just some of the basic things, but the basics of it is each moment is a holographic completion. You know, so the hologram itself contains all of the information of the whole thing due to the very nature of light. So any moment, any experience you're having, anything is itself the whole awakening moment. And that's where, I mean, we have great people like Terence McKenna, or I think Terence McKenna, but Alan Watts speaking on one of them, when the mind is ready, it can see the wholeness of reality even in the look of in the view of a dirty ashtray. Because the self is what is allowing all of that energy through. And that's currently what we're doing, is we're tuning, retuning, reconnecting back to the very highest heaven of life. You know, that's just a way of saying, like, we're connecting directly to the energy source from which it's all come. And yeah, I find holofractals kind of a nice way of like looking at that from an experiential point of view, because your naturalness of living then allows it to kind of come into being as your natural dance being the exact process that is yours. And how great is that? How great is that you don't have to go and learn someone else's. You don't have to go ahead and make someone else's way right. It's just about finding yours. And just like that, it's just like switching on a light in a space that was previously dark. And now the view itself is clear. And that clearness is a clarity of the shadows that you weren't seeing before, that you were seeing before and living in and as, are necessary to go ahead and give you the relationship of understanding to see what it is that you can ultimately serve back up. Because that's a degree of not just your power, because power gets thrown around a lot these days, and we see a lot of mismanagements of power, but I want to link it to rhythm in this way, because it's a case of you were there, now you're here. You were there, now you're here. You were there, now you're here. So it's a case of like, did that hurt, that motion? And if it did, how can you be a little bit smoother with it? How can you be more compassionate to that space as well, so that when you're now giving to it or helping that space up, you can go ahead and be in a dialogue that's uniquely yours. You know, and that's very much what the call here, anyway, right now I'm feeling is to create your dialogue. Because there are many dialogues occurring already that we've picked up, that we're living through family lines, through generational holdings, through what has been. And they're actually really beautiful. Messed up in their own way, just like I messed up there. And it's a case of like, very much when that energy's building, you know, because that thing of, I was there, now I'm here, now there's a process occurring, and in that way we're learning how to then go ahead and continue to move with it. And like there are two or so pieces, realistically more, but we're gonna go with the ones that kind of tingle and stretch in this way. The process of learning to move with it is a case of what it is to you. So what it is that comes to mind in the rate of allowance for that degree, and then what the unconscious element of that is. So when the energy rises and there's a certain level of forgetting oneself and where one is in the context of it, to say, okay, thank you. How can I, with as much, compassion as possible, work with that, allow it, and now validate it. You know, so that as opposed to it being a certain degree of lack or struggle or worry or fear or discernment or distraught to the fact that you weren't able to keep up some relationship. And that's where it's a case of, let's see, conversation starters for couples. So for some of you there's a bit of a break that's coming, and it's it's a weird break, because it's a break that could happen, it could have already happened, it could be happening in the next few days, it could take honestly a year. But it's almost like the opportunity of how long it takes to fruit is the opportunity of break size that you get. So it's asking you to, in one way, go ahead and like build on what it is that you would like to do with that time. And then beyond that, and very much for the next step, why? And not why, it's a bit more nuanced like that. It's like, if you were to have all the time and resources to go and do any fantastical adventure that you could, what is it that you'd want to do, and how does the past that you've experienced validate that whole process? And it's very much this case of learning how to validate what it is that you're wanting, not because it needs validation, but for the sense of allowing your wholeness in. You know, like in the sense of going back to generation and familial lines, what, having had that whole experience, would best validate you into the highest self and the highest perspective, like the shining light, the soul shining path for you and your family. Because as part of a unit, as a part of this whole thing. And this doesn't have to just be bloodlines, it doesn't even just have to be soul lines, it's just a case of like this collective thing we are, even more than just humanity. Like, what is there that speaks within you, within your journey, within the very shapes of life, and how can you best fulfill those so that you get to experience them fully and offer that experience to life. So guys, the biggest things here are about you learning to focus on your own experience of what it is that you're doing, to build up the resiliency to hold the higher energy system that it is that you're knowing to do, to get to know that, you know. And there's certain elements where it's like stepping out of the way, and that's for less of you than others. Don't worry about that, guys. It'll tick in exactly when it's meant to, always. But it's about coming to a degree of faith with that process, with that knowingness, with that newness that you're bringing to life. Yeah, guys, I'm super excited to hear where you guys are at. If you would like to share, let me know where and what's happening. I'm super curious with it all. Yeah, also where you guys are coming from. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, all the love. Guys, keep it up. There are like really, really amazing things on the horizon. And yeah, it's like, it's a really cliche thing to say, I know that, but it really is true in its own way, because now that you're bringing you to the space and to the time, it's not like you're just playing through someone else's lost system. You're now playing through your own system, and it means that all these lost pieces of yourself are now actually having space to not just breathe but become. And that becoming it's an ongoing experience of showing up for life and allowing the things to come into view, and where it is that you're taking these lower energy systems down to the higher energy frequency that they actually have always been looking to be. Some really cool stuff happens. So yeah, keep it up. See you guys soon. Cheers.